Welcome to another edition of A Strange New Pod. I'm your captain and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew this side of Federation space, where the bridge crew decided not to go. Our resident miracle worker and jack of all trades, Rear Admiral Eric, the Borg Queen of Puns, Lieutenant Brittany, Jean-Luc Picard's much more handsome body double, Lieutenant Hawk. And sir, you are looking very Jean-Luc tonight, by
very
the way.
Svelte, some might say.
Very svelte.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
Yeah. And the Trek conspiracy theorist that puts all others to shame, Commander Giraffe. Glory to you and your houses. How are we tonight?
Good.
Surviving.
I like starting the podcast by speaking about how much we love cake. I think it's very important.
lots of cake.
Cake is eternal.
I love everybody's backgrounds right now. That's all
Everybody's
I'm gonna say.
backgrounds are beautiful.
Yes.
The ensign admiral of everything, Erin, is in her second week of being voted off the island. No kidding. She's got a new job and she's out. Actually, she's on the best coast right now, which is actually the East Coast, not the West Coast, doing training. And we congratulate her on. I know I'm already starting a war. We say congratulations to her on her new job, and we'll see her back in a couple of weeks. But we have right now the absolute honor and privilege to welcome onto our view screen tonight the composer of all that amazing music that you hear on Star Trek Prodigy, Nami Melumad. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Hey,
I'm very honored to be here.
we're honored to have you on. I just want to say not only thank you for coming on the show, but for being one of our listeners as well. That tweet you sent out really gave us like all the feels.
That's
The
good.
butterflies.
That's good.
They all got nervous.
You're
I just felt
doing a
honored.
great job.
Thank you.
Plus, your rating for episode 8 was like, thank you.
If you guys can't tell, Nami and Brittany made a pre-show dare
You
and
made a
have
pact.
a pact, so their backgrounds are of each other tonight. Only on a
We're now
Strange New
bonded for
Pod.
life.
I just wanted
Go
a
ahead.
photo of her. I wanted her to,
All I
Photo.
ask is that this not turn into a Tuvix situation, because no,
That would be dangerous.
No
Never
Tuvix.
again. Never again.
No Tuvix,
Transporter
please.
error.
Nami, we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna start off with your history with Star
my
Trek. Have you always have you always been a fan? And
I've always been a fan of the music. I've not been a fan of the franchise when
okay.
I grew up because I didn't understand any of it. To me, it looked like weird people in costumes playing aliens. I mean, this was TNG times, and I think it was also the English because I didn't speak English, so and I didn't really read the subtitles very well, so it was all kind of a blur. But when I started to get into film music, I heard all this amazing music that was put out by Jerry Goldsmith and Alexander Courage and later Michael Giacchino. And that was like kind of my bridge into like, what is this music? What is this Star Trek? And then, you know, from there it was like, I fell in love. So yeah, I actually watched the shows by order.
Nice.
Wow.
As you should.
Yeah.
Actually, like the animated series being the exception because I never finished it, but I might.
You're better than
I've
me.
watched
I haven't
one
seen all
episode of the animated series, so I got you.
I watched
Yeah.
I watched all the animated series twice. Wow.
Wow. I am
Dedication.
because of
Raph is
Spock,
just
right?
flexing
It's
now.
just
Yes.
for Spock he did it.
I'm a different woman now. I am not the same person anymore.
She's like, animated Spock did something.
Oh, man.
Open
You
my
know what,
heart to joy.
Guy and Spock.
Is he shirtless there?
Yeah.
That might give me
No, there's no getting in trouble. So when you did watch all of Trek in order, and again, as you should, that's the way to do it. Don't watch them out of order. Watch them from the right timeline. I like doing it that way.
Yeah. No spoilers for Discovery though. I have
No-
not
no-
seen episode season 4 yet. So
Oh, okay. No
Yeah.
disco spoilers. Got it.
I had to share half my memes.
We talked off mic before we went live about I think everybody's love for Spock, but were there any other characters that you connected with while getting to
oh
know
my
Star
god.
Trek?
Okay, so 7. Okay, Janeway all the way. Like Janeway is my queen. Kate Mulgrew is my queen. So Janeway, like if there's a, did I say Janeway? So 7 of 9 from Voyager times, and then obviously her reappearance in Picard was also very welcome. But her days in Voyager are like my favorite. Jadzia Dax.
We're like the same person. I'm sorry. I'm just listing all the hottest women who have ever been in Star Trek, and I'm like, 7 of fine? Yes, okay. Jadzia is my bae.
Yeah, and then actually Kira, but mirror Kira.
Yes.
See,
I like Nami. She needs to come back. She's got taste.
Yeah, and then Spock. I do have a thing for Spock as well. Who else is Riker is also a favorite.
There he is, my man, my favorite character.
And the doctor from Voyager, and our show, like all of our show.
Yeah.
Gwyn in particular, but
Gwyn's
I love
awesome.
Gwyn.
We love Gwyn.
I love Gwyn. I think it comes out. I hope it doesn't come out like I love Gwyn more than the others, because I do love everyone, but I love Gwyn a lot. I resonate with her character. It's just like she's.
You're like one of those teachers that's like, I don't have a favorite, but this is my favorite.
You're my favorite.
No, but I do the music for everyone the best I can. So.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Definitely.
Leads me into my question. So how did you approach composing the score, given the franchise's like long history of very, very memorable scores?
Yeah, that was I tried not to think about that because that would be intimidating. Like walking into the shoes of all these great composers, like, okay, James Horner did it, now it's your turn. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Because in my mind I'm still like this little girl from Ramat Gan, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv, which is really far away. So it was I had help. So I had help from the showrunners, who are Dan and Kevin, and also Ben, our director. And they're very good at what, explaining their approach and what they want. And it was from the get-go, it was like, let's do a cinematic, let's address this like a movie. This is not a cartoon, for kids. This is a movie, and we're trying to aim for everyone, both the kids and the adults, and we're gonna make a cinematic experience. And I think that was like the key thing about the music, that we're gonna make it as big as possible, as Trek as possible. We did discuss that we could bring some of the Trek motifs, the original Seuss motif. We can bring like Voyager's motif, but there was also no need for that, because if we are targeting like newer audiences, it's not like they're going to be nostalgic about that in particular. But there was a way to kind of get the Voyager vibe without getting the actual theme. So there was that. And then, I read all the screenplays, so it was easier to figure out like who those characters are, how they develop throughout, like what's their arc beyond episode 10, which you will see, it's amazing. And then from there to kind of go back and be like, okay, well, the diviner, he's a more complex character than we think at the very top. So maybe we'll insert that into his theme from the get-go. And so that was my approach. It's like, okay, these are the characters, everyone will have their motif or their theme, but it will also be from a future perspective. That makes sense.
No, it does. And I just have to say real quick, like, you don't have to, do those throwbacks for the kids, because they're not going to understand yet. This is going to be their gateway into Star Trek. But the way that you do give those just little nods to even like the Voyager theme and just like some of the other things, they're there and we hear them. And I think that's absolutely
I mean, that's also because of, because I know Trek so well. So
yeah,
it's just some of it, I think it's just coming out like without me even meaning to do that. It's just so inherent in my thoughts.
I think it was the first episode. Me and Julian were just like, the first like 5 minutes, we were geeking out over just like the little bits of placement of things that we'd heard from previous scores, and we were just like, I can't believe this is happening. This is amazing.
Yep, we were nerding out over the music hardcore in that first episode.
Oh, wow.
I just cry over the music like every episode, and I'm like, why am I crying? Oh, it's the music again.
I'm sorry. I should.
No, they're happy tears, especially this episode.
Oh my god, yeah, it features like one of my favorite cues. Yeah, I mean everyone watched it, right? Like,
oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, when when the protostar leaves and they're on the ground and like everything is falling down and then like the diviners destroying so all that like all is lost moment. For me, that was like one of my favorite cues because it's like, here's our plan and it all goes to shit. It's really so I wanted to do something that's like super, super powerful, but also like yeah, I don't know. It's sad, but it does have a glimpse of a little bit of hope. But yeah. Anyway.
I love it.
Yeah.
I do not know how to segue into like the most important question in my opinion. Exactly. Okay, so we're gonna speak about, so we share this love for Spock, and one of my favorite episode is Q&A. And
oh nice.
I was
oh my god,
sorry, everything cut suddenly. I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
We're here.
Like, too much excitement. It broke my computer. Okay, I'm back. Yes. So pray for the gods of technology. So yeah, one of my favorite episode is Q&A, and you composed for that episode, which made you the first woman to write score for Star Trek. So you were speaking about your love for Star Trek and the music. So what does it feel to be part of Star Trek history now?
That feels very good, I have to say. But I hope there would be other women to continue to follow. I mean, it's having one is not really enough for diversity. So I mean, there's like 51% of the population that are women, right? I think. I mean, I might be wrong. 50 point something.
52.
52? Oh my god,
there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. Let's bring more. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's it's a good start. It's a good start. But yeah,
it's surprising that it took so long.
Yeah, I know, especially given that it's so diverse on screen. From so early on. Star Trek was ahead of its time. It's still ahead of its time, I think, with in comparison to other shows. So, yeah, I mean, I'm very excited and flattered and honored and all of that stuff. But I think it's just the beginning. We've only just begun. So, yeah.
Speaking of diversity. Oh, you're going to go ahead, Durap. You can finish.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
What? No. What?
I was gonna say perfect segue.
No.
Speaking of the diversity, you have what?
You two kill me. I love it.
Oh my god! Durap, either go or let me do my question.
Vibes here.
Do your question.
Now it's less natural. Speaking of diversity,
that's what editing's for. I'm gonna make it so good that no one will ever know. It's the beauty of editing.
Aren't we doing this live?
We are, but I edit the podcast version later. So everybody's getting the live, unedited awesomeness of Giraffe and Brittany, but the other people who don't watch live will have no idea this ever happened. It's
okay.
Beautiful.
Oh man, that's a
scene.
Yeah. I guess I need to start watching live then.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
It's more
yes.
exciting.
It's less PG too, so
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
So, speaking of diversity, all the crew members on the Protostar are so unique and have diverse personalities. Is there a specific Prodigy character that you enjoyed writing music for the most? We know you love Gwyn the most. allegedly. But as far as music is concerned, who do you really like doing the theme for?
I like that you said allegedly.
Allegedly. I don't
Allegedly.
want to put words in your mouth.
Allegedly.
I mean, she already said it.
Zero. Zero is my hero.
Zero.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love them so much.
Yes, because well, first because as a Medusa, like we have not really seen much of them yet until now, and then the other reason being that Zero is very like calculated, like very curious, very very scientific in their approach. So, and also there's the non-binary part of the character. So for me it was like, okay, well, what would it be, like a bassoon, a cello?
Yeah, right.
Because I did want to have like certain sounds for characters. So Gwen has these like high bells, and Dal has these like horns, and the Jankum has these trombone stuff. And Rock is more of a piano, clarinet situation. So
I love what you do with Rock, by the way. I just have to say that right now.
I do. Her development from the pilot through episode 8 was like really fun.
Oh my god.
Oh, so good.
So good.
But then Zero, I figured that Piccolo would be a great choice for that, because it is kind of natural, to be honest. Like it's not necessarily taking you to anywhere, but yeah, I actually did several variations on Zero's theme before even approaching the score, so I already had like some ideas for where it's going to be and how it's going to be, and I really enjoyed just following that theme whenever it's appropriate for Zero. So yeah, I don't know, I guess I do have some favorites.
Yeah, we love
As
Zero.
you should.
We're Zero
As you
Jam.
should.
But also the Federation theme or the Hollow Janeway theme, because they're somewhat connected.
Is that specifically when it goes like dun 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 dun, kind of like a toy on the Voyager one?
I totally forgot. Okay, I'm sorry. Scratch everything I said. The Protostar theme. Thank you. I keep forgetting that that's the most important theme. Yeah, the Protostar theme. That's the first, from the reveal of the ship, and then it goes into like literally every other episode. So, yeah, that.
I don't think I've heard a more apt comparison than Jenks and Pog being a trombone. Like,
Yeah.
Dude is totally a trombone.
He
Yes.
is.
Wah,
Like,
wah.
I can picture it. Animators, get on it.
Exactly. So
I see guitar there, so I mean.
you're saying that you got into Star Trek with the music through Jerry Goldsmith and Alexander Courage and Michael Giacchino's music.
Oh my God. I should mention all the other composers.
And all the other amazing ones.
Brown Jones.
Is there a theme or motif or a score in particular that comes to mind when someone says Star Trek? I know a lot of people immediately think of the Klingon, that little motif, but I was wondering if there's one that you think of.
Actually, Enterprising Young Man. So Michael Giacchino.
Yes.
I'll have to say that. Yeah. Although the Jerry Goldsmith, the one that opens TNG really. So that would be a second. I love everything. Like it's not like I love them or like I love everything. But the
it's not like Gwen.
that would come to mind is actually the first thing that would actually come to mind is Enterprising Young Man, and I think it also has to do with the Q&A that we worked on, because I remember that being a reference, and I was like, okay, I like that reference.
Yeah.
So because Alex, he was like, this is Spock's first day on the Enterprise. Like he's excited. And we want to capture that excitement, but also a little bit of like, nervousness because he doesn't know his place yet. And, that first conversation with number one, it's very like, so yeah, so that was the reference, and then I've been thinking about it ever since. That was like 3 years ago. But yeah, I love that 2009 score. I love it too much. I mean, I'm probably very influenced by it.
That's one of my favorite Trek scores of all time, like 100%. I love him to begin with. That's actually a great segue into the next question. Obviously, the music that came before we've been talking about. One of my favorite composers, we've been saying his name now for the past 5 minutes, Michael Giacchino, did the music for the latest trilogy. So we have 2009, Into Darkness, Beyond, all great scores. He
And
wrote
Prodigy,
and I was gonna say, wrote this amazing theme for the show. But like,
yes.
we're here to talk about you. I want to know how much you were involved with the process of making that theme, and if you got to work with him at all on that, and then going into the music of the actual show.
Yeah, no, I didn't write the theme or did anything for the theme. I mean, I just recorded it with the orchestra and made sure that Michael's happy with our recording and like the way that everything was handled. But no, I worked with him on other projects, and this is actually like, we've done that several times where he would write a theme or themes, and then I'll take over and write the score for whatever project it was. So we did that with them in American Pickle, and we did it with the Medal of Honor, Above and Beyond. And then so Prodigy was kind of the same idea, where he'll write the main theme, I'll use it when it's appropriate in the show, and then do my own thing for the score. And so that's what we did. I wish I wrote that. It's such a good theme.
That's like an awesome symbiosis that you guys can work that way together. You're able to carry the score on with it and like make those ties in. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think it has to do with the fact that I really know his music well. And so he really, his stuff really influenced me when I grew up. The Incredibles, right? Ratatouille. I'm translating from Hebrew.
Yeah.
And and Lost. Like, there were so many great scores that he did, and it's just it went inside. So that influence is definitely there. And then there's the way that he just writes for picture, it's always perfect for picture. And that's, I think, my biggest takeaway from working with him. Nice. Always be with the picture. You wrote a nice trumpet tune, but it's not working for the picture. So let's put it in credits or just let's use it in another movie. So this happens.
Yeah. I actually we're a little ahead of schedule. Did anybody have any questions that aren't on our outline for Nami that they wanted to ask and maybe didn't get a chance to? No, this is great. I have a question from Twitch, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read a quick question from, as long as you have time, Nami. Are you good on time?
I do.
Cool. Awesome. I just want to read this comment quick from Galaxy Star Queen 77. For me, as a person who played clarinet and bass clarinet in high school, this talk and love for music makes me happy, and I love following music to things, especially Prodigy. So.
Oh, well, we do have bass clarinet playing in Prodigy. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that sound, especially when it's with bassoon together or a contrabassoon, because that gives you this like low and angry and kind of a threatening thing. But also if it plays quietly and nicely, it's also really nice. But yeah, that's a great instrument, and clarinet in general. But
does somebody want to ask the Twitch question other than me?
Is there another one?
There's one from Takako.
I will read it aloud. Kind of ties into what we were already talking about. Takako on Twitch wanted to know, is that a typical work arrangement when you have one person writing the theme and another person scoring the show? So does that happen often, or is that just like
not
a thing
always.
that you and Mike do?
Sometimes it would happen. Sometimes, I mean, it depends. But yeah, I mean, it has happened in the past. I mean, that's the same thing for TNG, right? Like, there was a main theme, and then there was a score. So yeah, it does happen.
Nami, before we let you go, I just want to say one that we talked about it, I think, before we started the show. It was a super pleasant surprise to hear your music. We went to go see Encanto, the whole family, really? and ahead of Takako. I almost said Takako. Sorry, Takako. Ahead of Encanto, they showed the Disney short that Far From the Tree, which was just awesome, and I had no idea you worked on until we started talking. How was that experience? I know it's not Star Trek related, but I feel like that's such a great short. We need to talk about it for a minute or two.
Oh, it is. Oh my God. I cried so much when I worked on it. I also cry on Prodigy when I work on it, but
you and Brittany are the same person. It's amazing.
I do cry, even if I've seen it like a million times, and then even like at the final mix, I will always like still be teary. Yeah, with Far From the Tree, oh my God, we did it so long ago because this was like the beginning of 2020. And then 2020 happened, and so it didn't come out because Disney wanted to keep it for theaters. But yeah, it was fun. I constantly felt like the little raccoon, that I really want to try out things, and then I'm being like held back by also the producers and directors. I'm like, but I totally felt like her, and also like looking at I mean, it's not a her and a he, but we decided in the production it's a her, just for for reference, like when you talk about the raccoon, when you reference something in the story. But score wise, it was also fun because it was like it was the colors of the beach, in Cannon Beach. It's like in Portland. Portland, is it Portland? I think so.
Yeah,
Portland. Yep.
So you could play with that, but also you could play with the excitement of the raccoon, and then with the trauma. Yeah, I think there was a decision not to have trombones in that score. We didn't want it to be too scary and too big when that coyote comes in. But yeah, it was such a meaningful film to be part of, because it's just such a universal, short. There's no dialogue, so there's more room for music. But it tells such a big story in 7 minutes, and I'm like, this is a big responsibility for me.
Like Prodigy, it tells a big story in 20 minutes, and I'm like, why am I crying?
Yeah, and then so the shifts in music have to happen so quickly, and that's the thing with animation. Like everything has to feel genuine in the transitions, but it has to transition sometimes within seconds. And you're like, okay, how do I do that? And how do I not make it feel like Mickey Mousey? So like those old animations where like kind of like
rough changes where you're like, oh, okay.
yeah, because it feels old, and it feels like old school. I mean, some people love that. I feel like our modern style of film scoring is slightly more cool.
Less Steamboat Willie.
Yeah, so yeah, so it was a great responsibility, and I think it was well accepted. So like,
I see people talking about that short all the time. So
yeah.
My mom liked beautiful. I cried watching it. It was.
Well, now I have to go watch it.
Yeah, you do.
You have not watched it? Oh my God!
No, I haven't seen Encanto yet.
Don't talk about Bruno, Brittany. We don't talk about Bruno.
I've heard all the songs like 80 times. I'll get there.
We don't talk about Bruno. Dude, are we gonna get sued by Twitch if I sing any more of that? Probably. Yes. I'm gonna be quiet.
Eric and I sing every single Twitch stream, so
there you go.
Nami,
we know that you have some projects coming up that you can't quite talk about with us yet, but we wanna. I know, but we do want to ask if you do have projects that you can talk about upcoming, that people can hear your music.
Well, there's a show that's releasing tomorrow, actually.
Ooh.
On Netflix, called The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. The Woman in the House Across the Street. I know.
I think I saw that SNL skit.
It does feel like an SNL skit, but it's an actual show, and it's really funny. It's like they're playing very straight thriller type mystery where this woman has to resolve a murder mystery, and then the woman is Kristen Bell, so you get where this is going.
It's like Rear Window, but literal.
Yes. And there's like a lot of wine. I remember like watching it. I'm like, there is so much wine. Like she's drinking a lot, which obviously inspired me to drink.
There's a whole wine theme. There's a whole wine score.
But it's such a different score from Prodigy. Oh my God. Like it's
all trombones. Every time they pour,
it works well with pouring wine, yeah. Oh my god! And they dropped like casserole dishes all like, several times in every episode.
I need to watch the show.
I'm gonna watch
yeah.
this show just because of what we're hearing. Right now.
We're like, we're watching it for Nami.
It's just 8 episodes. I mean, you'll go through it pretty quickly. It's a mini-series.
Yeah, that's like a work day. We're fine.
Yeah. Oh my god. So yeah, that's the one I can talk about. The other one, well, let's just say it comes out in May, but I cannot talk about it yet.
Fair.
Fair.
Intrigue.
Totally fair.
May or may not be able
I
to
will leave
talk
you to
about it.
guessing.
There you go. And finally, if people would like to follow you and see what you do have coming up, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, Nami Composer. So Nami and then Composer. So I'm on Instagram and Twitter, and that's probably it.
Fair.
That's all you
That's
need,
enough.
guys.
That's all you need these days.
There
Who
are
needs
others.
TikTok?
Nami, where did you get that incredible background?
Oh,
I have to ask.
She bought it. It's an NFT.
T stands for 10.
You know I'm gonna use this for all other meetings, right?
I'm fine with that.
tomes.
Nami's gonna
Our
buy the digital rights to that image, and you are gonna be an NFT, Brittany. Congratulations.
You know what? I'd allow it. I'm very anti-NFT, but if Nami did it, I'd be like, I have no choice but to support.
But I still don't understand what they are, so
They're nothing.
Nothing.
They
They're
don't make
nothing.
sense.
A
Nothing.
scam. That's what they are.
I blocked 2
Yeah.
accounts trying to sell Strange New Pod NFTs today. So
Oh, God.
anyway,
What?
yeah, you
We're
would
that
not
famous.
believe.
What?
Named Warp,
Uh.
Warp, and Jonathan Frakes promoting it without saying its name because he wouldn't mention NFTs. That's a story for another day.
wow.
Yeah,
Nami, I
it
bet
gets
you're
wild.
wondering. I bet you're wondering why I didn't pun as much. When guests are on, I tend to let you talk more, but I thought also since you're a composer, I'd stay composed.
No, actually, I wanted to tell you that I should get you to have some track titles because I'm trying desperately to pun.
Okay, the
I
episode
see-
names
I
for
saw the
Prodigy
list.
have been so good, but then I'm like, I could.
Oh,
I
so
could
are
write
you
the
gonna
episode
do?
names.
Are you gonna do for when the next part of the score comes out more puns? Like
I mean, I'm trying to.
you two should talk. You two
Nami,
should talk.
email me. Email me, Nami. We'll talk.
All right. I appreciate puns. Yes.
Nami,
They have been very wonderful.
I'm really good at signing NDAs and keeping them very secret.
I know. I've noticed. I really
Got a good track
appreciate that.
record.
Thank you for
A good track record.
a
I
good
got a
track
good
record.
and a good track record.
Oh, there it is. We can't let Nami go without hitting one of these.
Get off my bridge.
There it is.
This is heartbreaking.
Oh my god, love it. Okay, well, thank you guys. I will be
Yeah.
listening to your review of episode 9.
That's coming up next. Yeah, we want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking Star Trek with us. This was amazing. We can't wait to hear more of your music for Prodigy. We know we have like 10 more episodes coming after this. So, and obviously all the other projects that you're working on. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
Everybody, Nami Melumad, thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will be reviewing, like Nami said, the penultimate episode before Prodigy's mid-season finale, A Moral Star Part 1. Stick around. Welcome back to a strange new pod. That was awesome. Nami is really cool. So glad to have her on the show. If you guys don't know already, we did have her on the show just now, so you do know. But I'm going to say it again. We've been nerding out about the music of this show for like 9 weeks straight. So to get to talk to her about it, and like, it's just, if you haven't downloaded or bought this soundtrack yet, just hit that button and support her and support Star Trek music, because not just saying this because she was on the show, but it is quite possibly one of the best Star Trek scores ever, period, end of story.
I mean, like, my kids hum it when they're playing. And I'm like, how do you remember any of this? It's just crazy.
It's the intro I don't skip.
Yeah. that and Enterprise, right? Obviously.
Yeah, I've definitely watched all that show.
So are you saying it's been a long road, Eric?
Oh, damn it. Yes, I should have hit that. I don't know how I missed that. Damn it.
Guys, before we get into our review of 109, we just have to talk about our quick announcement that we made this morning. Captain Picard Week. We have launched our first ever podcast festival. We're super excited about it. If you don't know, we're going to be celebrating all week long leading up to Picard season 2 with a bunch of podcasts talking about Jean-Luc Picard, his triumphs, his defeats, his relationship with Q, his relationship with Data. We never got
how
to
he's not
review
French.
How he's not
Yeah,
French.
he's not French.
His people are French.
We never got to review Picard season 1 on the show because we started the pod a little bit after Picard had already come out. So part of what we're going to be doing for Captain Picard Week is revisiting season 1. So excited for that. We have 3 shows that we can already tell you are part of Captain Picard Week, and we're going to make another announcement right now because we all agreed on a pre-show. So right along at the announcement, we have one of our favorite podcasts joining us. Star Trek Discovery Pod will be part of Captain Picard Week. Also, our friends from the Promenade Merchants podcast, David and his co-host, great show over there. And obviously the Duras sisters, who are awesome. If you haven't listened to them yet, they just they're going to be wrapping up their 13 movie series of all the Trek movies. They're joining us for Captain Picard Week as well. And we just did this today. We just confirmed it. The Discotheque Pod, Marcy and her crew joining Captain Picard Week. We can't wait. That's going to take place the week leading up to Picard season 2. If you would like to, I'm going to do that again. If you'd like to apply, our application for Captain Picard Week is live. You can find it on our Twitter account, on our website, strangenewpod.com, and many other places. I can't wait because oh, damn it, PG show.
Oh,
that's the
Mighty
It's my
Huffle.
first one.
Nice. Hey, welcome to the club.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
Does that mean Giraffe can start drinking now?
Yes.
Hey.
Apple juice.
Captain Picard's a legend. We can't wait to just have a whole week dedicated to him. It's going to be awesome. Enough about Jean-Luc. This is about Star Trek Prodigy. Let's get into a review of Immortal Star Part 1. Eric, you're up first. What do you think about this week's episode?
I was thinking I've been talking for the last 2 minutes and I was muted. So no one saw heard any of my fun stuff. It's fine.
No, say your fun stuff
No,
right now.
it doesn't make sense because it was like little quips and stuff. Psh.
Oh, he was being funny.
I was being
Dang, I
funny.
hate when I'm on
God
mute.
damn it.
Yeah. Some of my best puns have happened on mute, and it's tragic.
Yeah. You think the big red button would, let me know that I'm muted, but that's okay because we are talking about Star Trek Prodigy, Immortal Star Part 1. It was a good episode. It was sad and scary and exciting. I watched it with my kids like right before their bedtime, which was probably a bad idea because they got really hyped up afterwards.
Yeah, this would be the episode to do that.
And I was like, God, why did I do that? And it was good. Like I like that Dal was. I'm you know how down I am on him, and this one I was like, God damn, he's actually shaping up to the.
He's doing it.
He's doing it. I was like, God damn it. I mean, gosh darn it.
It's okay. I have the bleep button. It's fine.
Cheese and biscuits. I like that when they were all like very gung-ho about the plan, he was the one that was hesitant because he didn't want to. It wasn't that he didn't want to go back. He didn't want them to get hurt. And I thought that was a real growth in his character.
Yeah.
And the music, Nami, God, the music is so good this episode. Like Brittany was saying that she cried earlier just from
like,
listening to
Nami,
it.
if you're out there.
And like,
She's, like, listening right
it's
now.
true. There were parts where I was like, oh my god, it sounds so hopeless, and like it's just like emotions everywhere. It's a great thing to hear, like a composer do that just from sounds. Like you could just listen to this episode and know what's going on. Like it's brilliant.
You bring up such a good point with that, man, because like the moment where they're all kind of like becoming the crew again, and like when they get the uniforms, like I think this is because there's those dark spots too, right? But like this is also like I think as big as Nami's gone for an episode when they're all finally getting together and then going to warp. So it was really cool to even see like more of her range in this episode, because
That's when I
For
cried.
sure.
Yeah.
It was like I labeled it on Twitter, and I'll get to it a little later, but it was like the friendship and the teamwork music that was happening when they're like doing the plan. And as soon as Doll walked out wearing the uniform, I was just bawling. Like uncontrollably sobbing, and I was like, I'm so proud of these kids, and I was like, I can't. Like every time I picture Doll walk out and the rest of the crew join him, like I'm just, it's gonna happen when I talk about it, but like I already started to cry, and I'm just getting emotional. But it's because it's not just the scene; it's the music.
Yeah, it's like everything together, like the imagery, the shots that they composed, like them suiting up was like perfect. Like everything was perfectly done in this episode, and it's a wonder to see in an animated form. I know a lot of people on the internet have been giving this show a lot of crud because it's a kids show, and people are like, it's very like funny / Star Warsy, and I was like, that like not really.
Not looking deep enough.
No, like this could be a Star Trek episode if it wasn't animated, right? This could just straight up be a Star Trek episode, and the fact that they've progressed from this like ragtag group of like runaways to this crew, especially when they suited up, oh god, like it was such a proud moment, like Brittany said, and now I'm gonna start getting sad.
I know.
I don't think I have really any qualms about it. I can't wait to hear what happens to Gwen's story. Like I think everything is really interesting, and the fact that the diviner wants her to come with her because she is an important part of his plan is very interesting, which also makes me think that she's not actually going to be used as a person, but more like a battery for some odd reason. I've been watching The Matrix a lot, right?
Evil dads are always like, "You're not a person, you're a thing I need for my puzzle."
Especially since he grew her, right? It makes me more think like she's body parts for something. Ugh. I think the only thing I wish was I want more color in the uniforms. That's the only thing. Like I love the design.
Yes.
But they're like little ensigns. They don't have a color because they don't know where they belong.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring. And you can see Janeway has a stripe down her side, right? That was neat.
Yeah. Yes.
But I wanted to see more, just because the show is so colorful. I wonder if they did this just to make them feel like a cohesive unit, and I feel like that's what they did at this point.
I would agree with that, though. It does make them look like a cohesive unit. And I kind of made the joke that I want to wear one for when I do my Peloton rides, but it's not really a joke. Like I want one. Someone make one for me because I want to sweat in it. Please.
You need it in that sweaty material, right?
Yeah. It's reminded me the thing that Julian Bashir wears when he plays like the real thing.
No, that's it. That's definitely it.
Oh my god!
Right now, I can't unsee it.
Nope.
Other than that, I don't think I have nothing else for this. This is a great episode. Thumbs up.
Nice. Giraffe.
So first of all, I've watched it like 3 times in 7 different pieces because of the insanity this morning going on. So I could see it, but people couldn't. So I was like trying to work for Paramount on Twitter, being like, no, but if you go on,
we all were Giraffe. We all were.
So I started watching it late, then work happened, so I rewatched it. So I watched like in several like pieces, and you cannot blink. Like the episodes are so dense, and I've already established that I have no focus today, so it was very complicated. I was like, the first time I watched it, I was like, wait, that's not Zero?
Yeah, you're like, wait, Murph was Zero the whole time? Like the whole show?
Like they
that's
were
your
like
meme,
throwing
Brittany
him.
always has been.
I made memes,
like,
guys. Get hype.
Like they're throwing Zero around, and I was like, is Zero dead? Like, what's happening to Zero? And then it's like, oh, that was not Zero, that was Murph. And so I was basically watching the show like a 5-year-old. Then I rewatched it and I was like, oh, there were many clues. That's what they were doing.
The fact that they were carrying Zero out with them off the rest.
And like puppeting them like this.
They threw and caught Zero better than half the football teams in the last week.
Wow.
I'm saying that as someone who didn't watch the games, but just watched people's reactions on Twitter. And that's all I know.
All you need to know is that
so
Tom Brady got
shocked.
eliminated. That's all you need to care about.
Oh, well,
I was
yeah,
so
I'm an Eagles
shocked
fan. That's all I
when-
need.
What is that talk about? Like sports team, go ball, go run. I have no idea.
It's okay. Sports, that's what they
Go
are.
team, sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giraffe
Yeah, it
supports
was-
the Eagles.
I am.
What?
I do.
You do.
Do you?
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're an
okay.
honorary Philadelphian.
I thought I was like, I already have a list of things I'm supposed to support, like the Penguins and.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh,
No,
the
no,
Penguins. Okay.
no.
The
You know what,
Leafs. Leafs.
You know
Keep
what?
telling
You
us
want
about
disappointment?
Prodigy.
I think it was a
Leafs.
bad idea to bring up sports. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I was just making one joke. Sorry.
Someone had
Go
to bring up the
Argos.
Frickin' Penguins. Come on. Ugh.
I want to say to everybody that I have no idea what's happening, so I cannot be held responsible for any of this. Okay.
I meant
was
Ticats.
thinking about how sad I was when Gwyn says goodbye to everybody and doesn't say bye to Zero, and I was like, then everything explained. So I really liked it, but I thought it cut at just a weird moment. Like it was not really a cliffhanger. It was not a cliffhanger enough.
It felt like they cut
Okay,
it right in the
yeah.
middle of an episode, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took the episode, they measured the minutes, and they were like, now. And I was
Yeah. Prodigy's
It's
done that a
jarring, it
couple of
gets you.
times this season, right? That it's felt like it's gotten cut like at a really weird point. Right?
Yeah,
like
like,
this isn't the
I-
first episode to do that. Yeah.
I would have
Definitely.
liked that they're all hanging and be like, and then they cut here, right?
Right.
And I'd be like, oh, what is happening? Oh, the girl's gonna die. But now I know that it was all part of the plan, so I'm not really into the cliffhanger as I would have if they had cut maybe a minute before, like 2 minutes before. So that's my only hang up with the episode. Beautiful episode again. When they engage the protostar and they all go like, wow.
It's so cool.
And I have a second hang up. The color of the uniforms. I'm with you, Eric. It's like, so I was trying to make sense of it. I was like, so wait, white is command, but then blue is science because Rocktack has a blue one, but then a Janeway has a blue one, but a red line. I could not understand anything. I like my uniforms to make sense, Star Trek. I need 3 colors. I need to be good at trivia. Like, what is
3
this?
colors, no more.
3 colors, no more. And special mention to evil Janeway. Like,
Oh my
Yes.
God,
what is
yeah.
this
Oh,
week?
no.
Evil
Like,
Hollow Janeway.
In Star Trek Online, we have Mirror Janeway, and
Janeway.
now
Oh,
like
yeah.
evil Janeway, like with she's all blue. And I'm sorry, but is that a Section 31 uniform?
I think it's just a darker uniform.
But I mean,
Maybe.
it could
But
be,
you never know.
right? You never know. Everything about this show is
It's all
seeming
connected.
very Section
I have-
31-y. So
I have a lot of theories about that. So
Eric's
I
like eating the
suppose
popcorn, like, yeah,
that-
it totally is.
Mhm.
Totally.
These
I suppose
are,
that
like,
we'll talk about this
Deep fried
later.
things.
Exactly.
Ooh. I just
This
want to
was the
read
beginning of
NYRLite's comment real quick, but they did make sure to give everyone several shots of the kitties,
Yes.
aka the Cation.
They were
Mhm.
like, don't worry, the kitty's still here.
She's gonna be
Yep.
the security officer.
I want more
Oh,
Cation.
please
I
let her
want
join the
so
Cation
more.
crew.
No, she's gonna be the ship counselor. She's gonna purr, and you're gonna pet her, and you're gonna feel better.
Or even better, she's the
Yes.
bartender. She's the
Yeah.
new Guinan.
Maybe.
Who wouldn't
Because
want a
there's
little
a
kitty
bar.
doing
Last
that?
time,
Because
last
kids.
time,
Milk
last
bar?
time there was a Cation.
bar.
Last
Cereal bar.
time there was a Cation in a bar in Star Trek. It was a totally different story. Trivia?
All right.
Anybody?
Mm.
Anybody? Okay,
Nope.
we'll talk after the show.
There you go. Hawk, you're up. What are your thoughts on this week's episode?
Oh, everybody's done such a really good job in recapping this episode. My biggest takeaway was with the Diviner. great performance by John Noble in this episode. You know, I've gotten, you know, I was trying to see things from his perspective. I've got no more illusions about the morality of his character after this episode and what he does. Whether or not his actions were meant to save his species, they were just reprehensible. And you know, he is the main villain in that.
Really, I don't know. I still get a feeling that Dreadnought's gonna betray him, right? And gonna be the big bad.
Yeah, Dreadnought's
I kind of see that too.
Yeah. There's that big gap between, like, you know, they're thinking on that, because like Dreadnought, you know, doesn't believe like Gwen should have ever been created in that, but like, you know, that seems to be the only weakness in this guy's plot is like Gwen in that, you know. That being said, I'm thinking Gwen is smart enough to have used that to her advantage this time, and that, you know, his, you know, whatever his need for her in that, which she's not even aware of at this time, and that again, that whole mystery is like still continuing on for next week and that, but I think she used that to make sure she got herself onto that ship, you know, where she needed to be. And like I did love that little turnaround at the end, and that, you know, when everything looks hopeless and they're all drifting off into space, and it's like, okay, quit acting.
Janko Pog likes acting.
Okay, can I just say, I usually hate Jankopog, but I absolutely adored him this week.
It's a
cargo
trombone.
transpo is a go-go. I love that quote.
I'm a huge fan of Jason Mantzoukas and that, you know, and yeah,
you mean Derek?
Yeah, I was gonna say Julian knows now.
I know
Derek.
I kind of mostly associate him with Rafi from The League, which is his most out there character.
Still have to watch The League.
Oh God, Gattaca.
I'm just gonna publicly say that Giraffe continued her mission of trivia on the Twitch chat, and I tried to guess what the Cation dancing in a bar was, and I said Into Darkness, which I thought was absolutely the right answer, and it was Final Frontier. So I was wrong, and it is Final Frontier because I know exactly what you're talking about now. So
Thank you.
Yep.
I would have guessed. Did somebody go on vacation? And there was a cation on
Get
the
off my bridge.
Well, I had to make one joke tonight. Okay.
Well,
all my jokes were off air.
Keep making some jokes, or tell us a bit more about how much you cried for this episode. You're up.
Okay. First of all, not even 8 whole minutes into this show, I was sobbing because I'm just so proud of these kids and how far they've come. And the music was just like, oh, I think this happening right after the previous episode, and they finally
wait,
like,
Brittany, you're how far they've come. Their time has finally come.
The time is finally here, near.
Near. My time
Near.
is never
They
mind.
can see their dreams come alive at last. You mean?
I was here thinking my audio
Can
was
they
messed up
touch
or
the
something,
sky?
so I waited. You were having me freak out. I had a whole cohesive thought, man. You can't do that to somebody with ADHD.
I almost
Well, they're not
reached the
gonna hold
guitar
them
to
down
play
no
it.
more.
I
That's for sure.
feel you.
I'll
That's
grab
exactly
the guitar.
what you did with the sport
It'll
films.
happen.
What comes around goes around.
Giraffe, that's because you jumped ahead and did your question before me. So I was all for
It's
that.
true.
You wouldn't let me do my question.
I totally
It's
in the
okay.
same
Forgive
scattered mind, and I'm sorry. I felt
I
bad.
had a
and
nice
I said
segue set
nothing.
up, and
I
then it
said,
was just like railroad.
I said nothing else for the rest of the show because it was so sad.
You were really into the music. It was fine.
I saw Brittany's
I
eyes
wanted to
when
speak
you
about
went,
Spock.
Yeah, when she went, I was like,
and that's when I typed to you. I was like, "You can go next."
I texted her too.
I saw
Great
it written. You
minds
can go
think
next.
alike.
Okay. Anyway,
I will leave now.
no, I love you all. I interrupt you guys all the times for terrible jokes, so I mean, you can interrupt me for
it's
important
revenge for
things. Yeah,
yes.
it's revenge. Anyway, I think this was my train of thought. How it tied back into the previous episode where, you know, you had the team all separated and they finally like solved this problem through teamwork and they really started to come together. And then it to like bridge into this beginning where they're developing this plan. They're going back to save all these people. Like they're a crew who knows what they want to do. They're developing a plan. They don't need Janeway's help to do it, but still offer for her to be there to offer advice and things like that. Seeing them like do this plan together and get everything going and the music just kicks in and it's this like hopeful, like loving teamwork, friendship music. And then they come out, they walk out with the suits like, I was just bawling. And I know I already said it, but I wanted, like, I literally had to pause the episode and tweet about it because I was just like, 8 minutes in. 8 minutes in and I'm crying. And this isn't even a finale episode. Maybe I was tired from a crazy work week.
I mean, it is, because when we watch
it's
both
like a
together, it's going to
two-parter.
be, right? No, but I see what you, yeah.
It's not like the end of a finale. You know,
Right,
like it's not like
right.
it's the big opening of
Yeah.
a show and I'm just like But you guys know from the beginning of the show, like, I mean, I've liked all the characters, but I also was that person who's like, Dahl's not my favorite, but he doesn't deserve the hate because he's gonna grow. And man, is it so nice to see him really growing into someone who is like captain material. He really took it was that Kobayashi Maru. He really learned what it meant, and then immediately after that started applying those things to his character. Ever since that episode, he's really grown and always thought about like what it means to be a captain and those choices. So, like Eric said, I love how it's shown in this episode that like everybody, like Jenkum's the one that's like, here's the plan, let's do it. And everybody's all gung ho, and he's like, I have some reservations. Let's think this through. And you're like, oh, Dahl being so mature.
I didn't buy him in the captain's chair any other episode until he sat in the chair in the uniform in this week's episode, and he went like, crew, let's get to stations, let's do this. I was like, wait, this character this character who I really not liked, and listen, I kind of knew this is how writers work, and the Prodigy writers room is genius, right? They all knew this would be the turning point. This is when you'd be like, oh wow, Dahl is captain's material. He is like, I think Giraffe, maybe everybody said this on the pod. I always get people wrong who said something, so I'm just gonna say you all said it. He's Kirk in 09, right? He's cocky as hell.
Yeah.
But he has his moment when he sits in that chair in this episode, and you buy it, and you should. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the writers knew what they were doing, and that's the thing. A lot of characters that you end up liking in shows and in stories are characters, not necessarily that they're not like likable at first, but you grow with them and you grow to like them and accept them as where they are in their path. I mean, look at Gwen. She was technically like the daughter of the bad guy. She was set up to be this villain sort of character, but even from the art at the beginning, we're just like, she's cool. She's gonna have a good redemption arc or something. Like, she's like the Catra of the show. We're taking it. So tropes aside, they're done well. I don't care. Be tropey as you want, guys. Your writing is so good. So anyway, that's enough praising the Prodigy team. They know how I feel. They see my tweets.
Did the animators make Dahl sit up straight for this episode? Like, it looked like he was actually sitting.
It seemed like it.
Because he's normally leaning forward,
like,
right?
Or like the chair. He was just like, let's
or like
go.
putting his legs up.
Yeah.
Can we just appreciate that we have a new Engage, and I love it. Go fast.
Go fast. It works. It works. It works.
It works.
If I was a captain, I would say Engage, but I would just make an emphasis on the gay to be funny.
You
would.
And I would sit in a chair incorrectly, but only because I'm incapable of sitting in chairs correctly for too long. Julian knows this.
Yep. I'm gonna go really quick here. I like the episode. It's a good episode. It's really hard. I had this problem last week. Not last week. I had this problem last season with Disco. Their final 3 episodes. They all felt like they should be 1 episode. So this is a great episode, but I feel like I need to see the next one. That all being said, there's great beats in this. You know, we've talked about it for almost an hour now, but the music in this episode is just out of this world. No pun intended. Actually, a lot of pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
When they're all doing their work and Rock is working with Jenkum, and you know, Dahl is looking at the jetpack, and Gwyn and Zero are making their calculations, and Rock also, like, and they're all drinking coffee together. That music is just so awesome and so hopeful and just so Star Trek, and I love that moment. One of my favorite moments for this episode, and we're gonna get more into this in a few minutes. All the way near the end, when the Diviner and Dreadnought are on board the Protostar, and the way that he puts his hand on the captain's chair, there's a familiarity there, and I'm like, where is this going? It was such a well-designed, well-written, just like great visual moment that really stuck with me. I watched this episode 3 times, and each time I'm like, oh, what's going on with you, sir? I would like to know, please. Great episode. Need to see next week's. I can't like really judge it without seeing what happens in the second part of the 2-parter. Dahl, man, like, you know, rookie of the year. Hated him at the beginning, wasn't doing enough. Now he's great. Jenkum Pog, I feel like the most useless character on Star Trek Prodigy. he didn't do anything special, but like Jason Mantzoukas just did something different, I think, with the character this week and the voice acting, like where I was like, I like this guy. His whole, you know, I already did the quote, but like cargo transport is a go-go, and he kind of gives a look, is like, it's all good, Captain. Sorry. And the whole thing with the hand and the thumbs up to Rock, I'm like, okay, Jenkum, we could be on good terms now.
I feel like he wasn't like goofy this whole episode. Like it was like moments of funny, which made it feel better.
Yeah,
right?
I know what
I
you
think
mean.
the writing was different. The writing was different. Like the
And I
moment
have
he
to
jumped on
say-
the table and he's like, okay, I know it's like the stupidest thing we're gonna ever do, but I'm here to
Let's
do
do
it.
it.
I think like they start developing his character a little bit more than just being,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yep.
funny.
One of
Seeing
the
her
cool
character
things,
dynamics.
one of the cool things about this episode it was written by the entire writers room, so that's also just super neat. Let's get into more detail about this episode, guys. We finally get to see, we've already talked about this a little bit, our ragtime team become a crew in their biking uniforms, in their cycling uniforms, coffee, the works. All three of the characters were drinking coffee. I'm like, you're a little young for coffee, but here we are.
I mean, we all tried it a little bit when we were little.
I totally did, and I spit it out, and now it's all I drink. So literally it's
I was
all
like,
I drink.
this much
That
coffee,
and
this much
beer.
creamer.
Yeah. What do we think of that whole montage? And as we've already all said, Dahl finally becoming the captain that we need him to be in this show.
I actually really appreciated the montage this week in that, because like all through this, you know, as those characters have developed in that, from just like, you know, where they were in that to acquiring the ship, all their missions have always been just basically reactive to wherever, you know, they've been on without any thinking. It was really great seeing them, like, you know, with the gravity of the situation they were in, to sit down, plan it,
Or lack
and-
thereof.
Gravity.
Gravity.
It was great just seeing them, you know, especially Dahl, sit down, come up with a plan, and that, and the fact that, like, you know, Murph and his indestructibility had to use in that, and I'm thinking, like, did they think
God,
about
I
this
love
at the
Murph.
very were they thinking about this at the very beginning when they wrote this character for Murph?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
Murph is the MacGuffin of the show.
That's
Totally 100%. Yep.
The you know, these montages of people getting dresses can get very cheesy, and they're very, you know, cliche, but in this one it felt like it was earned. Like it was the first time I felt it earned in a long time. Like, and having them be that, you know, like I said earlier, them being so disjointed and then finally coming together, it was really well done. Like, I really like this. Probably one of my favorite getting dressed sequences.
Yeah. I know what you mean, though. Like, when the team all lines up and they walk in slow motion, like, they didn't have to do that. They just walked in naturally.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is great.
Then I cried.
And then I cried.
Anybody else on this moment? Moving on.
Talk about the diviner.
Let's talk about him, because man, I get goosebumps just mentioning this moment. Gets on board the Protostar, feels awfully cozy. Eric, you're like ready to go.
Oh, I
just want to hear it.
Oh, we know that he put his hand on there, and we're just like, this Captain John Harrison all over again.
I'll walk over your cold, dead corpses. Every captain should go down with his ship.
All right, that's enough of it.
I mean, he obviously
we
didn't.
did that
It
episode
crashed in the
already.
mine.
No,
And he was not in it.
no.
Or was he? Nah, 'cause he's been looking for it.
I think he might be part of that crew. I think he is part
I
of that
think
crew.
so too.
Oh, like
and
the second in command to Chakotay, and then he betrayed him.
Yeah.
I'm convinced, first of all, with all like this timeline thing, that is going to, like, that's why he's so old. That's why he's trying to keep like himself alive. That's why he has his progeny. There's a whole thing. He's the last person alive from that crew.
It's
Chakotay
very-
was a robot now, but that's another question.
it's very Star Trek Beyond and Krill and Idris Elba.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think we're gonna have some like section 31 something, because the way the music goes dark, you know, and I've been saying this since
Government?
Lower Decks.
Lower decks.
For since ever, but since lower decks.
I was gonna say Ash Tyler something section 31, but never mind.
No, because this was bad as section 31. I do not acknowledge this whole section 31 thing in Disco. I do not agree with any of this. But when everybody was like, oh, maybe Mariner was section 31, we know that there are Rios, Captain Rios, like these people that have been like disconnected from Starfleet because they saw the dark side of it, and these like little behind the scene things that don't go with the Starfleet ethics that they want to promote inside the ships. And I do think there's something like this going on with the Diviner. I'm sure he was Starfleet or associated to Starfleet, and when he sees the insignia, his reaction and like how he breaks it, yes, there's gonna be something. He saw things. He's been abandoned. I'm pretty sure he's been marooned and abandoned in the past, you know, and he's the only person standing, and he wants his revenge. And yeah, Idris Elba, I'm with you.
when you destroyed the insignia, like the comm badge and stuff, like that's a scene Julian knows. I've sent him all the memes I made from this episode. That scene is meme worthy. I was like, that got me.
You sent me a meme where I was literally laughing hysterically. It's that one with from it's an
Don't tell
SNL.
people, you gotta share it.
Oh, I'll be quiet. I'm shutting up. I'll be quiet.
You'll see it on Twitter tomorrow.
Hawk, I know you've been dying to say.
Sorry, Hawk. Go.
Yeah, there was so many telling lines in that. Like, I wanted to disagree with you in that he's involved with the ship somehow. I was thinking maybe he was like part of the creation of the ship, or maybe it was meant to save like his race. And that I thought maybe we were dealing with a Nero situation rather than like an Idris Elba Krill situation. But yeah, there's too many telling lines, hypocrisy and lies when they was talking about the Federation, the way he destroyed that insignia, the way Janeway looked at him and said, that chair doesn't belong to you.
Yeah, to you specifically, like I know you.
It belongs to Chakotay Bay.
Yeah, she wasn't talking about Chakotay. She wasn't talking about Dal, definitely. Something's happened.
She was definitely not talking about Dal.
Yeah. I don't think she was talking about Dal. No.
I mean, I'm just kidding.
I wonder if. Sorry, Hawk, were you done?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, they really focused in on the comm badge floating back up to the ship, though. I wonder if he is gonna actually redeem himself. As cheesy as that sounds, like it's gonna. Like, but it feels like there's some sort of redemption happening up there.
Some symbolic thing with that.
Yeah.
Because we still don't know.
He's definitely Starfleet something.
Yeah.
We still don't know why he wants the protostar.
No.
Nope.
And I think there's something more, and I do think it's gonna be time travel.
Yeah. I don't think it's Section 31. I feel like this ship is like the continuation of the Delta Flyer. I think this is a project done by by Harry Kim, and like that would be amazing. Like bring him back. Give him a higher rank.
Please, make it canon.
Captain Kim.
Oh
yes. I would ask you guys if you have any other theories, but it sounds like we're all on the same page here for once, which doesn't happen often. But yeah, I think we're all
because
there.
I'm always right. So
listen,
you're just
no one said that.
to the.
No one said that.
Sometimes it's hard to theorize because they don't show you anything. Like. But for this, there's a lot of specific moments and like movements and symbolism that help you as an adult to conclude like, okay, he's familiar with the ship. There's more that we don't know. So I think that helped with theorizing.
Yeah. Eric, this question's kind of for you and I, but as adults, it's a bit easier for us to figure out and know that the kids have a plan, right?
Yeah.
And once the protostar lands, but kids, it takes them a few minutes to like realize like what's going on once they're on the ground. Maybe even it takes them all the way to like Dal saying, okay, you can cut the act now, they're gone. How did your kids respond to this? And I'll ask the next part later, but yeah, how did our kids respond to this part?
So I was watching with Kateri and Liara, and Liara was a little bit scared. Like she's like, oh no, they're all gonna be hurt, and she's 3. So I was like, she's fine. And Kateri is sitting there, is like, oh no, I hope Gwen comes back to save him. And I like that they didn't just leave it on that little cliffhanger of them being stranded for that one reason, is that my kids wouldn't be like, no, I can't sleep tonight because I don't know what's gonna happen to them.
That's the reason they don't do that, right? Like, this is a kid's show. You can't leave a cliffhanger like for a kid's show there.
I'm sorry. We were watching TNG when we were kids. They
you're
left
not
us
wrong.
hanging
Imagine
in
me
the
4
dark
months.
with
4
like
months.
the Borg and stuff.
I
And
was
we
a
were
little bit
like, "Oh my
older for that.
I was
Mr.
gonna
Worf.
say, you ever watch Hero or Steven
Dun,
Universe?
dun,
They will leave you on
dun.
some
That's true.
tragic ending.
That's true. My kids have watched Steven Universe, but
And I'm like, are we good?
I think it's mostly also the abrupt ending was a little weird for them. They're just like, oh, there's no that's not commercial. It's done. We're like, okay, I guess we'll have to wait. I'm like, yeah, it happens sometimes, guys. But they liked it. Like overall, I don't think it was a little too scary for the 3-year-old, obviously.
Yeah.
But the 7-year-old was fine with it. Yeah, especially with the little bit of resolution they had.
Yeah.
I have a question. Like, do they get all like the time thing and like the hints and stuff, or
It's their first Star Trek, so I don't think they're expecting anything, and they haven't watched anything that's really science based, other than Magic School Bus, I guess, and those types of shows. So I don't think they're coming into it with any preconceptions. They're mostly just interested in seeing where it goes because they have not seen anything like it before.
I know for Cecily, like it's a deep investment into the characters. Like she loves the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And also she has been like asking more questions about the universe, which is like really cool. Like, how did planets get made? Like, what's the Big Bang? Like, so that's cool. I think a lot of that does have to do with like Prodigy and being in kindergarten at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's really neat. I know for this episode, she watches the screeners with us every week, and she was at the edge of her seat last night when we watched it and was like, when's the next one? And I'm like, it's next week. And she's like, wait, what? Like next week? And it's like, yeah, kid, sorry. Maybe a few days early because we do get the screeners, but like, yeah, next week. And then sometimes when she gets home from school on Thursday, like around 7, when like I watch the episode again right before we pod, I'll watch it, and sometimes she'll come back and watch it, and sometimes she won't. This time she did, and she stayed for the entire episode.
Nice.
And asked the same exact question. It's like, when's the next episode? Like, I want it. She was Veruca Salt. I want it now. I want it. Like, whereas so that's good.
Now
the writer's room got the job done.
Yeah.
With that, like making them want more. Caleb, believe it or not, 3 years old. He came and watched a little bit of it last night when we were watching the screener. He left midway through. I think he was having a hard time with it, but then he's with me during the day on Thursdays, and I was watching it this morning after the whole snafu with Paramount Plus. And he's like, "Oh, Daddy, what are you watching?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm watching Prodigy." He's like, "I love Prodigy," and came down and sat with me. Had no idea what was going on, but did watch it, so that's cool too. So that's exciting.
I will say that I think this show, along with last year, I think they released Emily's Wonder Lab on Netflix. This show,
love that show,
right? They're both amazing. I love Emily so much.
Awesome.
I don't think my daughters would have gotten up at 7 a.m. to watch the James Webb Telescope launch if not for these two shows. Like, and I think that's an amazing thing. Like, I used to like glue myself to the television whenever there was a space launch, and that didn't really happen like until all this SpaceX and all this new stuff started happening. And I love that they get to experience that. And that's
every time
awesome.
There's a SpaceX launch now, Cecily wants to watch, and I love that. I love
amazing.
that. So, guys, we are not gonna rate this week's episode because it is a 2-parter, and I feel like that should just be our new rule going forward for any 2-parters. We're gonna rate them as a whole next week, and then rate the first 10 episodes for our full mid-season rating. So that means we're going right in to the subspace to poll and mailbag.
Hailing frequencies are open.
And Brittany, because you're the board queen of puns, and you didn't want to change mine, which means I did something right today. Would you like to read our poll results, please?
I feel like your punny creativity has blossomed. So
thank you.
I've seen you grow, and I don't want to stomp that out. I want to see where it goes. So
much appreciated.
55% said that new crew smell. Get it? Because they have new uniforms. Ding ding.
Ding ding.
27%. I don't know. I'm tired. It's been a long week. 27% said Proto Star struck. Nice. 15% said need to see part 2. Because it's true, we do.
It's true.
To be continued. We need the continued, sir. And 3% said, didn't have any gravity.
Oh.
I like that one. That's similar
Thanks.
thoughts.
Yeah, you and
That's
I.
that's actually
had,
very
yeah.
clever.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So these weren't necessarily like, the only one was punny, but they were creative. I liked them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the only compliment you're getting from me from next week.
I'm gonna see you tomorrow, so I hope that's not
no,
true.
I'm just kidding. You know how we are.
I do. Let's get into our mailbag. We're gonna go in the same order as we did at the top of the show. Eric,
Bam.
can you read Butch Lepews, please.
Butchel, I thought it was Butchel Plew. I'm glad I didn't say that. Butch Lepew wrote, first, is this the mid-season finale, or is there one more episode on February 3rd? There is one more on February 3rd.
Yep.
I thought there was one more, and oh my goodness, this episode made me want the next one immediately. Their camaraderie. Oh my god, their camaraderie. I was gonna read in French, but I'm not going to. Their very clever plans to this point were ultra satisfying. Evil Janeway was deliciously evil. Loved her. Gwen's clever stalling and beaming Zero down separately with Murph standing in for them, also very well done. I found myself enthralled and delighted. I must admit, I did not start out liking the show. I could not stand Dal, but some agree on that one. The more I made myself watch, the more I am absolutely glad I kept watching. The best thing is the believable and very well done character development so far.
Yes.
Agree.
Nice.
Some of the best character development you'll see in a kid's television program.
I would agree with that too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch kids program except Prodigy, so I don't know.
You should watch
I
Steven
watch
Universe.
a lot because I just love animation.
Yeah. Jeff, you're up with Fernandez.
Fernanda wrote, I feel like this is the culmination of all the things this motley crew, I don't know what is a motley.
It's like a thrown together ragtag group.
It's a metal band.
Rough around the edges.
Sorry. This motley crew learned this half of the season. Point to the writing team. Bonus points that they did all this kept me. I'm sorry, I cannot. Fernanda, please forgive me. I'm gonna do better. Okay. Bonus points that they did all this. Kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. Got some nice plot twists. I got to see the kitten again.
Yes.
And it was Starfleet to the core. This crew is for sure Starfleet material. Excellent episode of Prodigy and excellent episode of Star Trek.
Yes.
That was good. Yeah.
Agreed.
10 out of 10 for education signs.
I needed a pickup in the middle. Sorry.
You did fine. You did fine. Hawk, before you close this out, I'm just going to read our final Twitch comment of the night from Galaxy Star Queen 77. I think that the crew has grown a lot, especially this episode, when they have their plan. The uniform part could use color. Yeah, maybe. But other than that, I love this whole episode. Yeah, agreed. Totally agree.
Okay.
Hawk, send us home. Haven's mailbag.
Haven wrote, this episode was probably the quickest episode. I had to watch it twice as it felt like it was a blink and you missed the episode. I love the new uniforms and I love the reveal at the end of the episode, but I feel that like this episode could have been easier if it was a single 1 hour episode. But I feel like that may change when we return for part 2.
Valid.
Yeah.
Valid.
Yeah, I agree.
Guys, I have one last thing to ask. So we all love the Prodigy crew, right?
Yes.
But do we all love my Prodigy crew?
Jealous.
I was really hoping Eric would have made it to
Jealous.
his mailbox. Maybe he'll have it for the mid-season finale. You guys can match.
It's
next
so
week.
snowy.
But it's so warm and so soft, Eric.
It's so snowy.
Eric and Hawk are finally getting their Christmas
I thought
presents.
it was funny.
at some
Isn't
point
this a
in the
crew
next
neck
2
sweater?
weeks.
I don't know fashion, but I thought this was a
Yeah,
crew.
that is a crew neck, yes.
It is a crew
Thank you,
neck.
Eric.
Long sleeve.
And that's my only pun of the night.
I love it.
Your
guys,
only pun of the night?
That's actually not
What
true.
you
They
said?
didn't hear all the Nami
What?
ones after hours. Pre and post show don't count.
Guys, that's going to do it for our show this week. Don't forget, if you are a podcaster, if you have a podcast that is Star Trek related, even if you're not a Star Trek podcast, but you do talk about Star Trek from time to time and would like to apply, send your application in for Captain Picard Week. We want your content. We want to hear from you. Right after this episode ends at around 11:15 p.m. Eastern time, join us for our encore rewatch of A Moral Star Part 1 on our Watch Along channel on our Discord. That's going to do it for Brittany, for Hawk, for Eric, for Giraffe. I am Julian. I say to you, live long and prosper. Maj Ram. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.